today on the TMZ Podcast.
Welcome to the TMZ Podcast. Harvey Levin here.
Katie here.
And Jason.
So, Will Smith has spoken, and it is really interesting. The things he said are so interesting. On the surface, he is saying, I am so remorseful, I am so sorry. But there is so much more in this, psychologically so much more, about how he processed this whole thing. This is a little bit, he posted something on Facebook. We're doing the podcast now Friday morning early. It went up 20, 30 minutes ago. We just slammed it up on the website, and this is a little bit of what he said.
Why didn't you apologize to Chris in your acceptance speech? I was fogged out by that point. I've reached out to Chris, and the message that came back is that he's not ready to talk, and when he is, he will reach out. So I will say to you, Chris, I apologize to you. My behavior was unacceptable, and I'm here whenever you're ready to talk. There is no part of me that thinks that was the right way to behave in that moment. After Jada rolled her eyes, did she tell you to do something? No. You know, I made a choice on my own. Disappointing people is my central trauma. It hurts me psychologically and emotionally to know I didn't live up to people's image and impression of me. If you hang on, I promise we'll be able to be friends again.
Done. I'll be his friend again.
Okay, hold on. Jason's. I saw Jason's eye roll with the trauma issue.
Disappointing people is my central trauma. The problem is, and Katie told me earlier, she's hook, line, and sinker back into him. The problem that I have is I'm looking for authenticity here, and I want to know, does he really feel it? And I think certainly some of him feels it, but I also think more of him is, I want to get my career back. I don't like the fact that the first thing people think about when they think about Will Smith is the slapping incident. And so I want to get past this. And so I had a PR person write my lines, and nothing goes to that more than disappointing people is my central trauma. Nobody talks like that. Nobody, unless they've sat down at a computer and figured out the words they want to say.
No,
well,
I
there's also an ego issue here of my central trauma is people having a really good image of me that is now tarnished because of something. That's very ego-driven.
Yes.
See, I don't think this is ego-driven at all. I think this is a guy who's gone to, first of all, this is how the Smiths speak, right? If you watch Red Table Talk, they love to dive into their feelings. This is a guy who's probably spent the last 3 months in therapy, seeking counsel from therapists, from ministers, from religious figures, right? So that's what I think this speech is. This, to me, was very moving. It was a guy I could still see he was in a lot of pain. He's taking responsibilities for his actions.
Well, hold on, Katie.
He got me.
Katie,
After 2 minutes, I was like, I'm back in. I'm back on the Will train.
I hear you, and I partially agree with you, but this is laced with some justification. I mean, he says that there's no part of me thinks that this is the way to handle a feeling of disrespect or insults. It's like you're going back to, hey, this is why I did it, as opposed to simply saying, this was just wrong. And again, Chris Rock told a joke, okay? He told a joke. Now, Will Smith may have viewed it as an insult or disrespectful. Why bring that up? And he also said we have history. He mentioned the history that he had with Chris Rock, and it's bad history. Remember in 2000, I think it was 16, when Chris hosted the Oscars, he took a shot at Jada, took a shot at Will. He said it was in fun. They were offended by it, and they never were right ever since. But, why bring up, I did it because out of a feeling of disrespect and insults and history.
Clearly justifying his actions to some degree. He's saying, look, I was pushed by him past my lines, and I shouldn't have gone past my lines, as opposed to saying there was really no excuse for this. No motivation should have justified this.
Exactly.
And it was just a joke.
Exactly. I mean,
hey, he got me. He said, "Let's be." I bought it, hook, line, and sinker. He said, "Let's be friends again, Katie." And I said, "Okay, Will." And now we are back together as friends.
What about what Jason just said?
No, I mean, I don't know. I kind of liked the fact that he said, I'm sorry. What I did, he said, I'm sorry. And then he said, but I can't, and I apologize to everyone, but I'm going to try to move past this without shame. And he was like, I'm human. So
And that's
I
hold
liked
on.
that line.
But that is the point to me, that he is human. And you know what? None of us are without big flaws.
Yeah.
Okay? And you know, what I like about this so much is enough canceling shit. You know, it's like, I don't want to cancel Will Smith because of what he did here. It was terrible. But it's like people, look, if we don't believe in redemption, if we don't say people can grow and get better, I mean, what's left for any of us? I mean, it's like who is even close to perfect? Who hasn't made big mistakes in their lives? I mean,
and you do give him credit. I mean, look, this is not a totally hollow apology. He clearly feels bad about what happened.
He does.
I wish,
and it may be mixed. It may be part of it is he knows what he did is wrong. He's also remorseful to the people he hurt, and he's also upset about having his own image. That's not a terrible thing to feel.
No, he's built it up for the last 25 years.
And like on Wednesday, I think we saw Jerry Jones, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, use a really harmful epithet for little people, and he came out and he said, "Look, I'm sorry that some people may have been offended by what I say." That's a non-apology.
Right.
Yeah.
Here we have a true apology.
It's a true apology.
It is, to your point, laced with a little bit of, I still want to protect my ego, and maybe, he still shouldn't have done what he did. But there's a true apology here, a man who really feels bad about it.
You know what the real lesson is in doing something like this? Less is more.
He could have gotten out with less.
He could have gotten out. He could have gotten out. And look, he apologized, okay? Yeah. And we should be able to move on from that. I mean, look,
I think so.
I think we will.
He went nuclear, and people do. And then, this is what happened, and
what's the state of
shouldn't define him.
What's the state of his career now?
I think he's fine. I really do.
Too.
I mean, I really do. I think, look, did he do this? Yes. And is this going to be part of his storyline? Yes.
Yeah.
But, if this means that Will Smith has to go away, there's a really interesting article today on just all these people who have been canceled. At a point, people are saying enough already, because, it's like you look at somebody through a 2007 lens or a 2011 lens. They're not the same they are today. They shouldn't be. And the world's changed. But what's happened is, and look, Will Smith did this in the present, but it's gotten so crazy that everybody is looking at everything through the most sensitive lens they possibly can. And that's just not human beings.
Right.
I mean, it's, what? Can I tell you what's really funny? I was in the bathroom the other day.
Oh boy,
I know.
where's this
we got a long way to go to funny.
Oh,
Okay,
boy.
hold on.
Gosh.
And you know what they were playing? They were playing a Frank Sinatra song in the bathroom. Okay, I mean, we didn't have a band in there. It's actually just
we have
recorded
music.
We do live music.
Right, and they're playing "The Lady Is a Tramp," and you listen to the words of this song, and it's appalling. I mean, when you think about it, it is appalling. But that's what happened in the 40s and 50s, and we've grown and gotten better than that. But, when I was listening to it, I thought, my God, can you imagine anybody singing that today?
Yeah.
The world's changed. And I don't know. I'm going back in time just because I'm looking at this cumulatively with
it's all part of the same conversation about what do we hold against people what they said in a time when those kinds of things were not offensive. And, the answer largely is no, right? Unless it's really, really bad.
What did he say? He said something. He said, I'm trying not to think of myself as a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Good on Will Smith. Honestly.
He realized what he did was wrong. He's apologizing for it, and now he's like, I have to move forward without beating myself up over this every single day.
But he did beat himself up because he said, I'm trying. So he is struggling. He's almost thinking of himself as a piece of shit and saying, I can't think of myself that way.
Right.
He's not a piece of shit for this.
He's putting the work in. Look, what he did was wrong. It was really upsetting for, the world to watch. But I think this was a really great first step. It won me back, so I'll see his next movie. I think you got one ticket.
Katie,
one ticket purchased. Will,
you're not just back in. You're
I know. He got me back more than ever.
I know. You're gonna go watch Hitched or something this weekend.
Yeah.
You know what? It just shows
Fresh
he's human.
Prince.
He's a human being.
He's a human. Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna move on. Okay, we should not do the Candace Cameron's daughter on the heels of this. So let's go. To this story. I saw this yesterday, and I said, we have got to get this up on the website immediately.
You cannot laugh. People are injured.
Okay, you're right.
It's
Okay,
a deadly
so
story.
you know what? I should not do this then. You should do this.
No. Well, there's monkeys terrorizing a Japanese city, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. So in a southwestern part of Japan, in a
Yamaguchi.
city called Yamaguchi. Every city in Japan, by the way, is like 12 million people. We talk about it like it's a small town.
Right.
There's a band.
Small town.
There are a band of monkeys who are actually really terrorizing residents there. It's been pretty awful. 58 people have been attacked in the last 3 weeks
Oh,
or
God,
so.
Jason, headline. The monkeys are targeting little kids.
They're targeting
and they're going
elderly people too.
Right, but let's put the elderly
You
on
think
hold.
that Harvey would want to
I'm like,
lead
don't
with
go
that.
to Japan.
Let's put the elderly. Let's put the elderly
that
on hold for a
trip
minute.
you have planned.
Let's put them on hold. These monkeys, some of them, are hanging out at preschools, peering into the windows of preschools, trying to get at the preschoolers to kidnap them.
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
And the Japanese government is responding by sending roving bands of militants out with tranquilizers to try and tranquilize these monkeys because they're attacking the little kids, and they're like going after them, trying to steal them and bring them back to their lairs or whatever.
This is the most insane thing.
It's like Tarzan. Well, kind of.
That was the imperialists coming into Africa to kill the apes.
Oh, right.
That was the opposite of this. This is revenge. This is Tarzan's revenge, right?
Oh,
here.
right.
Yeah.
Tarzan's revenge. Okay,
There
gotcha.
is nothing scarier than watching one of those monkeys just peer
Oh
through
my
a
God.
window and stare, knowing that it wants to steal your baby.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine?
Have you guys have been to countries where you've had run-ins with like baboons and things like that? Have you ever had this? Like
don't
they
think
come
I've
on
ever
top
had
of
a
your
run-in
car?
with
I've
a
never
baboon.
actually had a
Really?
baboon.
No, in South
No.
Africa, they climb on the car, they tear the antenna off the car, and you can't approach them because they're vicious and they bare their claws.
But
and
nobody's
teeth and
ever
everything
seen
else.
this.
But nobody's ever seen this.
And
but
they
it's
are
terrifying.
and it's very specific, targeting little kids and targeting the elderly.
Right.
It's almost the people.
It's like coronavirus.
But how do they know that they're the least able to defend themselves? I mean, something has processed that the very young and the very old are the ones that they're going after. And by the way, some of them are really violent. I mean, they're attacking these people.
And food traps are not working. They're not even interested
They're not
in food.
interested in
They're
food.
just interested in human flesh. That's where we're at. This is the start of
Well,
it.
they're clearly.
This is the start of
This
what?
is the start of what's that movie with Planet of the Apes? They're
Yeah.
taking over, and this is the moment. We're going to look back on this and be like, that's when we knew it was happening.
Well, Harvey's going to be dead pretty soon with the elderly attacks.
oh,
I
yeah.
think.
Don't go to Japan.
Yeah. Oh, God.
No, actually, we joke about it. Pretty terrifying, though. If you have a kid in the city and you are sending them off to preschool and there's monkeys, we have the picture on the site of
Oh
a
my
monkey
God.
peering in through like
We have
moving the
video of
shutters,
it.
moving the shutters aside at the school door to look in at a
mean-
classroom full of like 6-year-olds. It's terrifying.
If you saw this in a movie, you'd say, "Oh, come on!"
right,
And
right,
it's
right.
really
It's
happening.
totally
Serious.
implausible.
It's crazy.
And we should be helpful here and let everyone know that if you are confronted by a monkey, the instructions are: do not look them in the eye. Make yourself as big as possible. Like open up your coat.
I think those are contradictory. Like you're just looking away but opening your coat wide.
I guess those are the instructions. Just make yourself as big as possible.
It's crazy, and the scientists don't know what's going on here. They said they've never seen anything like this.
You're going to see. I don't think we have a dead child yet. If we have a dead child, you are going to see the mass slaughter of monkeys in that town.
They've already
because
caught one and killed it.
They've caught one
And killed it.
Killed it. You're going to see a mass slaughter if one kid dies. And I'm not even saying it's wrong or right, but that's what you're going to see. You're
You're right.
Hundreds of dead monkeys.
Let's do Jon Stewart. Look, this guy he's one of the great people in America. I mean, Jon Stewart is just one of the great people in America. And just the idea, when you listen to him the other day, just rail, with this deep emotion about veterans and how the country has turned its back on veterans, being upset about this bill that
the PACT Act. Yeah.
that went down in flames. You feel that emotion. This is not acting. This is not posturing. This isn't Jon Stewart self-aggrandizing himself. This is Jon Stewart feeling it. We got Jeff Ross out yesterday. and a fellow comedian, and our camera person Mel. I thought she did such a good job asking about Jon Stewart, and I thought what he said was really interesting.
How is it that a comedian that's so funny is able to be so serious and passionate and really connect to people?
Because he cares.
Yeah.
Comedians feel pain more than most people.
They do.
That's our trade.
Yeah?
Buddy Hackett told me that one.
Really? Comedians are more in touch with their emotions than anyone.
I think so.
Yeah? Well, I mean, a lot of people online are saying that Jon Stewart needs to run for president. I mean...
I'd vote for him.
You would?
I'd vote for him twice.
You would?
Yeah.
Do you think we need to see someone in there like that?
Well, it's working in the Ukraine. Let's have a Jewish comic here in America.
Yeah! He's the Zelensky of the U.S.?
He's the best.
Yeah?
Except Zelensky's probably a better dancer, but Jon Stewart's probably a better comedian.
Do you think, I mean, he says he wouldn't do it, but do you think he would come around to it? I mean...
I think we'd have to all gather him up and push him across.
Yeah, so that's always the thing with comedians, right? That people always talk about, that they're so funny because they are so sad and they feel so deeply, so they take all that pain and they turn it into...
Action.
And
there's something to that, right?
And there's something to it. And Jon Stewart is the hero we need. When Jeff Ross said this and he'd vote for him and he'd vote for him twice, well, first I was like, don't do that, voter fraud. But one vote, I was like, yes, this is a guy I would get behind. He's so impassioned. He's unbelievable.
Say what you want about his politics. He's going to be too left for a lot of people. That's okay. Here's what we know about Jon Stewart. He cares. He's honest about his opinions. He's unvarnished. He comes out and says what's on his mind, and it's not what's on his mind, damn the consequences. It's what's on his mind, and he cares about people.
He's got humanity.
He's got humanity. He's got compassion.
And
he's got
so
these things.
Smart.
And he's very, very smart.
I got to tell you, look, I mean, he's already said he will not run for president. If Jon Stewart did change his mind and decided to run, I really believe he could win.
I think so too.
I really believe he could win.
The one caveat, and I agree with you. He had a very good chance.
But no, let me just make a point. He could win. He could win over people who don't necessarily even agree with his politics.
I agree with all that. The one thing we don't know, he's not been fully vetted. Like when somebody announces the presidency, the whole world goes back and looks at all the old text messages and the high school girlfriends and all that stuff. And he hasn't gone through that. And I'm not saying anything would come out, but we all have something,
of course.
And he would be running through that.
And but listen, Donald Trump went through that.
Well, I mean, right, and we found out all the warts, and and
people voted for him,
and they still voted for him.
Right.
So maybe it doesn't matter.
And I think we're over the whole celebrities shouldn't be in politics thing by now, right? Like, I mean, people after Donald Trump, people were really upset and like, this is why celebrities can't be in politics.
I don't know.
But look
I
at
think
Zelensky.
there's still
I would say now celebrities shouldn't be in politics. I mean, you see what happens when somebody doesn't live their life in politics. They don't have a good sense of how to work with Congress and how to do things the right way, which is what Donald Trump got him in trouble. Zelensky, maybe, though you're parallel, maybe that's a different story.
Yeah, but also, one of the things about presidents is the people around them are as critical, if not more critical, than they are themselves. That picking the right people around you, getting a cabinet that really can work for you.
Right.
That's the trick, because a president can't solve the nation's problem with transportation, the interior, environment, and everything else. So they need good people. And Jon Stewart strikes me as a guy who would be listening, who would acquire and then listen to good people.
The second point you make is really important. Not just get good people and put them in office, but actually listen to what they say and take in their opinions into account when you make your own final decisions, which is,
I mean, I think this is crazy. Isn't it? Now that you think about it, it's crazy that we're thinking about, you'll take a guy who's just got this humanity and who's really smart, because we can't find anybody with experience that we want.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
The two most likely choices are an octogenarian who doesn't seem to have all of his faculties anymore and a crazy tyrant who wants to bring the country down. Those seem to be your two choices.
We need Jon Stewart with Oprah as VP. That's the ticket that I'm voting for.
Hold on. Get somebody... if he did that, that would be a big problem. And I love Oprah, but I'm saying get somebody with gravitas, somebody who's got some experience, because it's getting the people around you.
Yeah.
He's not going to run.
Let's convince
Michelle
him.
Obama? Any chance?
Well, listen, to me, she's the other person that, I think, could galvanize a huge group of people, but she said no too.
Yep.
Okay. Last one. Why can't I say this?
Candace Cameron. Oh my God, I can't.
See?
Candace Cameron. I can't.
Jason, do it.
Jason, you try.
Candace from Full House.
Yeah, that's it. Candace Cameron Bure.
Daughter.
Yes, her daughter has reignited this feud, kind of, between JoJo Siwa
I'm
and
sorry.
her mom.
Do you know? I love this.
I love it.
I love
because
what
I would be
what the
same
daughter
way.
said.
Me
I love
too.
What, I love what the daughter said.
Yeah.
I love that JoJo Siwa actually did this, not because she's not bitchy or whatever, but because celebrities are asked all the time, who's your least favorite, and they never answer, and she actually answered. And you know what?
Yeah, but her reason was ridiculous.
Her reason may have been ridiculous.
We should say, you know what happened with JoJo. She said, "Oh, the worst celebrity run-in was Candace."
The rudest.
The rudest
celebrity.
And
celebrity.
she just flashed her picture really fast, but of course the internet caught on.
So here's what her daughter says. Respectfully, someone saying no to taking a photo with you is not a, quote, rough experience. This generation is so sensitive and has no backbone. There are bigger issues in this world than this. Grow up.
So this stems from the fact that JoJo told the story that the reason she thought Candace Cameron Bure was so rude was because when JoJo was 11 years old, she was a huge Full House fan. She walks up to Candace Cameron Bure at some event and asks if she can take a picture, and apparently Candace was a little bit rude about it and said she wasn't interested in taking a picture.
She said not right
the
now.
humanity.
She said not right now because she was busy, and then took pictures with other little kids on the red carpet. And JoJo has hung on to this for the last 7-10 years.
I don't want to be too dismissive.
You
of
have
how
you have teenage daughters.
Yes.
Okay, go.
Yes, this would be ridiculous. We would, they'll privately say what a rude celebrity that was. Who are you, Candace Cameron Bure, for turning my kid down? If my kid then 12 years later would they still be harboring a grudge, I would think that's pretty pathetic.
Well, you know what
And
I would
also
say.
they
You know what
saw
I would
each
say to
other
you,
again.
Jason. I would say, man, congratulations on raising a kid where their biggest trauma is not getting a picture on a red carpet.
That's for sure. Yeah.
I'm serious.
And not only that, JoJo has gone on to incredibly lofty heights. She's fabulously wealthy. She's one of the most adored people among small children in the world. Far more famous than Candace Cameron Bure. Like, the fact that she is still harboring a grudge of a non-picture 20 years ago is
And they
bananas.
met up on the Kelly Clarkson show, and she was super nice to her. At that point, wouldn't you just say, oh my gosh, you know, it's so funny. I've been harboring a grudge against you all these years because you wouldn't take a picture of me. Let's get a picture now. Just handle it like an adult.
Do you think she's still harboring the grudge?
Or
just-
let it go.
Or let it go.
Let
Who
it go.
cares?
Maybe she did. Maybe she was just asked the question, like, who's rude? And she felt, I'll be cute about it. And it just backfired on her.
But I love it because Candace did a whole video where she kind of like explains it. I mean, she had to explain it because she was, of course, getting attacked online.
I think she should have just left it alone.
But
Honestly,
she
when
was
I
like-
watched that, it was painful to watch her go through this whole mea culpa, hand-wringing.
Yes.
It's like, dude.
I know, but
it's
she
like,
has this whole image, right?
I
She
know,
holds
but
up and
come
she's like a
on.
godly woman. So she
I
did this whole
know.
thing and she couldn't really say what she wanted to say, which was, this was super messed up.
Her
Grow up.
her
So her
daughter
daughter
said
got
it. I
online and
know.
said it. And I love it. But
do.
I also love that she said someone of this generation when she's basically the same age.
Well, but
as
that's what's so interesting, that the daughter is just saying, my God, we're the same age, but all of my peers are like a raw nerve.
Yeah.
Right.
So sensitive.
I know. Okay, have a good weekend, everybody.
Bye.